Hey everybody, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Matt Pierce. I am the Learning and Video Ambassador for TechSmith, and I'm very excited to be here today. We're going to be talking about creating your first video or making a basic video. So if you're brand new to the video creation process, this video is going to be for you. If you've got lots and lots of experience or doing video productions all the time, you might find this a little basic, but we're going to get into that here in a few minutes. So, you know what? Why don't we kick some things off here and, happy to talk with you guys. My name is Matt Pierce. We've got a great topic we're going to be talking about. Of course, I am monitoring the chat today. And don't forget, level up every day. All right, everybody. So glad to see you guys today. Glad to be here. Again, my name is Matt Pierce, Learning and Video Ambassador for TechSmith. We make Camtasia and Snagit, some other fine tools if you're so inclined to use them. The reason we're here today is we're going to talk about making a basic video. If you've never made a video before, it can be very intimidating. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel like, oh my gosh, how are you going to do that? However, I really feel like that in today's society, having some basic capabilities to create video is an advantage. It's going to allow you to convey ideas in a different type of way that is going to allow you to get your message across clearly. And I want to be honest here, like, you can go crazy and make really high-end crazy things, but you don't have to. So today we're going to look at a couple different video types that you can make that will allow you to convey some information very clearly and I hope very directly. Before we do that though, one thing I do want to point out is if this isn't for you and you want some other information that we're not going to cover today, some of the nitty-gritty details about video creation, we do have a few options. One thing I want to mention is, and you'll see it scrolling here just down below, is that at TechSmith Academy, we have a free learning platform that will allow you to go out and learn things like how to create a storyboard, how to write a script, things about lighting, some things about video creation that we're not going to talk about today. We also have expert advice and expert interviews that we've done for you to get this really great information, like how to be more comfortable on camera, talking about kind of what to do post-production. We've got some stuff from some really awesome thought leaders in instructional design who talk about working with subject matter experts and, thinking visually with your instruction. So lots of great information that you can go out there and check out. We'd love to have you go out there. Look, again, it's free. It's completely available to you today even. And we're always trying to add some more stuff. So lots of stuff available. So now, let's start, right? Let's get into this idea of making some video. So fundamentally, again, if you've never made a video, this can be really difficult. And what I would say is that you've got to learn some of the basic process, just like when you're learning to read, or you're learning to write or do math. There's some basic things, kind of foundational principles you're going to need to learn that will carry you through, and then you can get more advanced. And what I want everyone watching this to take away from it today is that, look, just start. If you're, you've never made a video before, make the best first video you can. Don't worry about it too much. I'll tell you what, my first video was not great. I wouldn't share it with you because it's not good. But that's okay, because that's where you're at. If you're on your 5th or 10th or 100th video, you should be looking at leveling up and making yourself in your video just a little bit better. You don't have to go from 0 to Spielberg. You want to really just be able to make something that's going to convey your message. So we're going to go through some of the basics, and we're going to get heavy into screen sharing today. I'm going to share with you guys. We're going to work through this process. And so hello to everybody. Hi, how are you? Gautam. Well, keep an eye on the chat too. So if you do have questions, make sure that you ask. Happy to answer those questions the best I can. So where do you start? What are some of the foundational things? Well, first of all, you have to have a topic that you're going to create about video, to use a video for. So what are some good things that make for video content? Well, anything that has motion in it, things that you want to be visual, or if you want to convey things that are hard to get across in another medium. For instance, sometimes emotion doesn't come across in the written word. And sometimes you can do that with audio. But sometimes you want people to see your face or see the body language or see whatever you're talking about. It could be on the screen. It could be a physical thing. Like if you're talking about how to talk into a microphone, probably helpful to show a microphone. So think about the things that you want that you could use video for in that sense. Again, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but you want to make sure you thought through, like, is there a visual component? Now, we know a lot of people will make videos of just like this. I'm just talking to you guys. You're listening. And that can be okay too, but you know, ideally we have a purpose for that. Like, I want to connect with you. I want you to see my face. I want you to know that I have empathy for you, that I'm thinking about what your situation might be, whatever it might be that you're talking about. So definitely have a reason for just doing camera only, but it's an okay start. Like, if that's the best you can do is make a selfie video, grab your cell phone, hold it up and be like, hey, this is me. If that's where you're going to start, that's where you're going to start, because again, we're at the bottom floor here. So once you have a reason to make a visual or a video, the next thing you want to do is start thinking about, like, what is going to be happening in that video? What are you going to say and what are you going to show? And that can be done with a script and a storyboard. And again, I'd point you out to the TechSmith Academy. Link is there scrolling across the screen. The TechSmith Academy has courses that will walk you through those things that I think will give you a lot of details that we're not going to get into. And here's the thing. If you're new to writing scripts have some things you probably want to finesse once you get better. But get down what you want to say. What are the steps you're going to cover? What are the things you're going to, talk about? Have an outline. Today, this is my outline. I made an outline, so I knew what to cover today. That way, I'm going to be more focused and concise. We still might take some tangents based on the questions. We might be able to jump into other things. However, having an outline is going to make a world of difference in just clarity, right? You also don't want to miss something, because going back and fixing it, editing in there can be kind of tough. So just keep checking the chat here. Hey, Jason. Jason's a coworker of mine. I'm sure he can answer some of these questions you guys have if you're in the chat, if he has time. Glad he can join us, and thanks to everybody else for joining us. So we got our outline. Planning your shots, thinking about the visuals, right? This is typically done in a storyboard, but again, I don't want to be sacred about that today. Like, there are times and places where I would say you must have a storyboard, but I think for today, what I really want to say is just think about what you're going to show. Like, you can see I'm switching between shots, right? Like, I don't have anything fancy in my setup here, but I've got a few things that I've done, and I thought through, like, what are the things that I want to be able to show you? So for instance, like this. I thought about this. I wanted me, and which way the camera goes, and I wanted a graphic, right? I wanted something I could show you. I didn't have to storyboard that out, but I had to pre-think about that so I could create it. And so as you're thinking through, here's what I'm going to say. Think about, what am I going to show? Is it going to be you on camera? Is it going to be someone else on camera? Is it going to be a scene like an actor, which is way more advanced? Is it going to be screen content? Which I'm a big advocate when you're just starting out. Screen content makes really great basic beginning video, because, you can make it super complex too and super advanced, but because it's right there. You don't need anything else. You don't have to worry about your ability to speak to a camera. You don't have to worry about acting ability. Those things get much more complicated, but screen content, you can record the action and you can talk about it. So be thinking again, what are you going to say? What are you going to show? Have a reason for doing that. And once you get those things in place, you're basically ready to start making a video. Seems super easy, right? So let's take one of the most basic types of videos we can make. I'm going to switch over to some screen content here. So let me get some things out of the way. Let me bring up here. Let's switch over here. I'm going to make, let's go to this one. This is a PowerPoint presentation for a presentation I've given in the past. So it's PowerPoint, right? Like, you can see I've got a variety of different slides in here. It's really not fancy in terms of content. Like, it is literally just some graphics. I talk about these things. I've got some things up here. I don't even know if in this one, I don't think I even have motion in this one, but you could, right? Like, you could have transitions. You could have things that are scrolling or animated GIFs or video even in here. So this is not a video though. So what I can do though is I can actually record this. Now I am on a Mac, and so what tool you use might vary based on whatever you're doing. I keep looking over here, but my camera's over here now. Whatever you're using might vary. So I'm gonna actually use Camtasia. So I'm just gonna see if get this out of full screen mode. And I'm going to bring Camtasia over here. Now on a Mac, I just need to do new recording, and I can say I'm going to do like I was trying to pull in some mobile devices, but I can do whichever screen, and I'm going to do the current screen that's up. And basically I'm just going to record this, and I can just record it as I go through it. Now you can see I'm not in presentation mode. So, what I'd do is I'd click start and we'll go through it, and I'll do that in a second. If you're on Windows machine and using Camtasia, you can use the PowerPoint add-in or basically do the same process. So I'm just going to start my recording. And as I do that, it's going to give me a countdown. And then once it gets down, I'm recording, and oops, doesn't matter if I make a mistake. So where's the beginning of my slide here? I should have made sure I was at the beginning. So that's okay though, because we're making a video. You're going to make mistakes, and when you make a mistake, what do? You fix it. You can see I've turned on the captions here for PowerPoint. That's something I'm doing. So maybe that would be a setting I'd want to make sure I turn off. But now all I have to do is go through this content. Like, hey, this is the primer to making video with your mobile device session. So before we get going though, I want to make sure before we're done, I want you to give me some feedback. Tell me how my session was so I know what I can improve. Did you know that there are 4.57 billion mobile devices out there, and 50% of them are smartphones? And what does this mean for us? It means that there's a lot of opportunities, and then when we get to through our presentation, we can just stop our recording. Okay, and so then once we stop our recording, there it is. It's here, and that's it. We basically have a video. Now, in this case, I've got a few things kind of at the beginning would want to clean up, but you can see in Camtasia here, or any video editor that will allow you to record your screen, you can go through here. Now, again, I would have turned off these captions because I probably wouldn't want them in this. I could caption it later, but then really all I have to do is select an area, delete it, and maybe at the end I would fix things up because I didn't want to show me turning off the recording or whatever. But really, this is not hard to make a very simple and straightforward video. And then I just go to my share options, I share it out, and we have a video, right? Like, that's kind of the whole thing. That's how easy it is to make your very first video. You just have some content that you're already familiar with, you put it together in PowerPoint, and you can record it, and it can look good. Now, can you add other things to this? Absolutely. You could record a camera during your PowerPoint presentation if you want to do that. Maybe you've got it just in the corner, which I'm not a big fan of, but you could do it. Or you could make it so you switch back and forth between like showing your content. Really up to you to determine what that's going to be. But this is, again, it's an easy place to start. If you have a message, you have some visuals to go with that message, throw it in the PowerPoint and record it. That is a very easy video to make. So, just kind of depends on what you would like to do and how you'd like to go about it. Now, let's extend this idea just a little bit, because another easy type of video is just a quick tutorial. And we in previous sessions, I've talked about what types of videos you can make, and my goal is not to do that, but I want to just show you how easy this process is. And this one, we're going to do a little bit more to it, because I want to show you like a little bit of what it takes when you are creating your content, to think about, like, not only do you want to record it, but there's some editing that you want to do there. And again, it's just as easy as recording whatever's in front of you. We'll talk about camera content in a second or two. Well, not a second. It's going to be longer than that. So definitely we'll get to camera content. But again, screen content is kind of our bread and butter at TechSmith. I want to make sure that you get this chance to see this in process. So I'm going to transition my screen again. And let me bring up Camtasia back up. And what I'm going to do here, oops, I keep dragging the wrong things around. I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to close this because I don't need this project right now. It's just a simple recording. I'm going to go new project. Got a new project here. So if you're in Camtasia, I'm going to click record. And before I do that, I'm going to make that full screen. And then I'm going to still record my entire PowerPoint there. This time I'm not going to go into presentation mode, so I'm just going to start the recording here. I'm going to have to switch screens, so there we go. So now I can record literally anything that's happening. And the cool thing, and unlike PowerPoint, right? Like, you're not relying on a mouse cursor in PowerPoint. You're not recording the things, but I can make a demo here of a process that I use in a lot of my PowerPoint presentations. So I'm going to walk through that. And then we're going to do some editing, show you a couple other really basic things you can do to help you make that first video. So, okay. Hey, welcome to my PowerPoint tutorial about making a really cool PowerPoint slide. First thing I'm going to do is I've already got an image on the slide that's full screen. I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it. And there are other ways you can do that, but then what I want to do is just line this up so it's on top of the previous image. So now I've got two of the same images. We're going to get rid of our design ideas because we're doing something different. Make sure you guys can see this a little bit better. I'm going to come up here to picture format and I'm going to change the color. Let's use something really obvious. Let's go to this green. So now I've got a green layer. If I move this out of the way, you can see I've got the full color version below. What I want to do is I want to make sure that the computer shows through this green color. So now the next step you want to do is go back to your Home tab in PowerPoint. We're going to go to Shapes, and I'm going to grab this shape here. It's a freeform shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw basically, and every time I click, it's going to leave a little arrow or a little point, not an arrow. So it leaves an arrow, and I'm just going to trace around the best I can this computer, which is a MacBook. Now this stuff doesn't really matter around here. I just want to get kind of everything enclosed, and I'm going to close it up. So now I've got this shape that's covering my top image. Now I click on here, on the green image, I click on my shape. Undo that because I think it shifted a little bit. Oh, I did not mean to do that. So let's redo. So I click here, I hold the shift key, select my image. Now I've got them both selected. Now I've set a preference up to do this, but you don't have to do that. You can actually go to shape format for what we want to do, and we want to go to merge shapes, and we want to do subtract, and there we go. I notice a little pause, and I stop my recording. So now that's really what it takes, right? Like we've just gone through a whole recording, we have a video. There's lots of ways you can do this. I'll talk about those options in a second. Like you could obviously record this like I did here at the same time, or you could record your audio and then build your video based on your audio, or even reverse of that. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear the playback. So I'm not sure how we'll play back even. If someone in the chat lets me know if you can hear that, I'd love to know. Jake, you're asking a really good question here while if someone responds in the chat about whether you can hear the audio playback. So I'm using OBS today to stream. OBS is really about streaming. It can do some recording, but what makes Camtasia even better is you have some cool effects that we'll get to, we can show you, but also you have an editor. So you have a built-in editor that you can just start recording. You can record, and you're then going to be able to edit and trim it down. OBS has, the advantage it has is that it can actually send your content directly to YouTube in terms of a live stream like we're doing right now. So that's the biggest difference. I work for a company that makes Camtasia. I find it's, I love using it for my videos. I get really great quality, and the extra features that we get are super, super cool. So, we'll just go with it. We're going to make do with this. I've got my headphones here. I'm just going to slip those on, so I'm going to look kind of like a nerd for a second, good nerd, so I can hear my editing. Hopefully you guys can hear it too. You can see there's some stuff in the beginning here that just, I'm more doing setup. Just, you know, I'm just talking through it, right? And so I should have left a little bit of a gap where I set it, but I can zoom. On most editors, you can zoom in, and you got your audio down here, and this is audio and video together. And this is where I start. I say, hey, welcome to my video, and I'm just going to, again, select, kind of, let me zoom out here a little bit, and select all this, and I'm just going to, oops, wrong one. Just going to get all this, and I'm going to delete that range, and then move this over so it's at the beginning. So now I'm starting. Okay, it's playing back, talking about the slide. You know, what I want to go through here as I do this, right? Like, there are places I know I made mistakes. Now, if you're thinking about it, you can mark those. In this case, you might want to just think through, like, okay, what is the problem? You know, watch it through. Start thinking about, like, what can you do? So one of the key tools is you can use hotkeys, or you can use I've been doing the right click, but you can cut, you can split. So if you want to turn it into two different clips, you can do that. So in this case, it looks like So right there is where, this is where I talk about getting rid of the design ideas, and I think I move this side panel over. And I could leave that in there if I just want it natural, but in this case I just want to take it out. So I'm going to again use my playhead to select that, and depending on the tool you're going to use, it will differ how you select it. In this case I can do a cut, but Camtasia has a really cool feature where I can do this ripple delete, or just delete it. If you delete it, it leaves a gap. So see how now as I'm editing I've got this blank space, so if it plays back there's just nothing. That's not ideal. I can just slide this over. When you get more complicated timelines, that becomes a challenge, and you're not going to want to slide things around, messing up your timing. But in this case now, it's kind of noticeable. I'm noticing I'm a little bit mouth noisy, so I'm going to move my microphone back a little bit. But you know, I've got a good start on this, and I can just keep going through this. And I know actually one other thing I'll do here. I know I made that mistake, and I thought it shifted, and then I undid it. Doesn't look good. So let me see. Yep, I was just speaking directly there. I probably should have, you know, just stopped, paused, checked it, and it would make it easier to cut out. So now that's about right. And again, I can just, you know, ripple delete that, and you'll notice that it comes together. So I've just basically what you want to do when you're making a video, whether it's a screen video, a camera video, you're looking for the kind of get rid of any of the extra stuff. Don't make your audience sit through the extra stuff. So it's, you know, there's a lot to it. It takes some practice. Screen video I find is easier because if you make a mistake, it's pretty easy to fix. Camera video, what happens is where all of a sudden you're going to see like people jump around if they're talking to the camera or something like that. So, yep, I see a comment that the best tool is split. I love the split tool is great too. It gives you kind of ultimate control of what you're doing. So I know, like, let's say, let me drag this out here at the end. Oh, right there. Let's see. A little pause. So that's me saying end. So what I could do is I could just use the split tool, and now that gives me a whole other clip, right? And so this is the basics of video creation, right? I just go through and make sure I get rid of the stuff that I don't like. This is in its simplest, rawest form. But then there's all this other stuff that we could do depending on your tool. So for instance, let's say in this case, I'm working on a screen video, and what I want to do is that mouse cursor, I used it kind of as a tool to follow. I just want to make it, I want to make it show up a little bit. So I'm going to go cursor effects, and I'm going to, let's not do magnify. Let's use, let's see what happens. If I do magnify, I don't really love that. But what we can do is add a spotlight. That's okay. I'm going to make my cursor bigger. Whoa, that's the spotlight bigger, but I'm going to make I think I can make the mouse cursor bigger too. Let me get rid of this spotlight so we can see. Okay, here I'm on the cursor effect, cursor track. It didn't seem to affect that one here for whatever reason. Let me see if I can do it on this one. Yeah, normally you can change the scale of just the cursor, but we're going to add the yellow effect just for fun here. Drag it down here. And now we can see that there. We'll make it a little bit bigger, and we'll make it a little bit easier to see through, so it's just got a little glow. So that's, I mean, the cool thing. Another thing Camtasia can do that, because what's called mouse cursor smoothing. So if we watch the mouse play back, I'm actually not moving it that much, but like even that spot right there, if I add this cursor smoothing, let's see what happens to it. Make sure I get that applied. It moved a little bit now. It just smooths out the cursor movement, so that way it's, you know, instead of zigzagging around like most of us do. The other thing we can do here is things like annotations. Again, we want to make things as clear as possible. So for instance, in this spot, I'm obviously highlighting that drawing tool, but maybe we want to do something like make it even more clear. Let's do this arrow here. Oops. And we're going to drag that on here at this time. And we're going to, if I could click on anything correctly, guys, and we're going to drag it up here. We could point it here. And then we've got all sorts of styles. We can like, I want that to be a bit bigger. You know, you want to think through these things and think through what you're doing, what you're talking about. With screen video, again, I'm not trying to teach you all the ins and outs of screen video. I just want to show you how easy it can be to make something that'd be useful. And this, you know, I could have left it as it is. It's a 1:30 tutorial. That would be really probably way more than enough to answer someone's questions about this process. They're going to get the idea. They're going to get to hear me talk through it. Maybe the mistakes are even okay. Like maybe I want them to see the common mistakes that I make so that they know when they make those mistakes, maybe they'll learn from it and not do the same thing. So as you're making your first videos, give yourself grace, give yourself opportunity to make mistakes because it's okay. But know that you can do something relatively easy just by capturing what's on your screen, walking through it. And we'll got some other videos here. I want to turn to questions for just a second since you guys are asking and involved here. That's awesome. I love it. Excel says they've recorded more than 500 videos for their channel, and every time I fall in love with Camtasia Studio. Well, thank you. The new versions are incredible. I recorded with the Blue Yeti. They're the best combination. That's awesome to hear. Glad it's working for you. Go check out Excel's channel. We'll have to look at it, see the videos that you made. And he loves the split tool. Hello from Pakistan. Welcome. Hello from Michigan in the United States. Currently planning to make a course in the Urdu language on Camtasia software. That's awesome. Camtasia is used all throughout the world. And TT, you say it seems a little fiddly. It's probably me being a little bit more nervous, you know, and just trying to do this all live is always challenging. But that is what it is. Is it possible to reverse a video clip in Camtasia? It is not, and it does not support 3GP video at this time. So unfortunately, you can't reverse your video clip, but that's heard. We'll pass it on to the developers as feedback. I know they are aware of that type of request. So I mean, again, keep asking questions, keep putting your stuff in there. I want to know what else I can ask or answer for you guys. Know that there's other things that you can do that are just screen content. One thing, and I'll just bring over this device here. I won't show you guys the camera view right now. It's just an iPhone, right? If you are on a Mac and you have an iPhone, you can plug in your device and you can actually record your device screen or your device. Most devices, Android and Apple devices, have a way to record your screen. So that could be a video content that you can then bring into something like Camtasia to edit, which, you know, to me that's actually pretty cool. If you're doing anything with mobile, teaching people how to use a mobile device or a mobile app, it's a really nice way to just capture the content. Because again, we've got the pre-production, which you want to spend time on. You've got the recording, and then you got the post-production or the editing process. Now, one thing I want to make sure is clear, with whatever you do here in the editor, whether you edit it a lot, you don't edit it, you have to share this out. Whether you're in Adobe Premiere, Adobe Rush, or Camtasia, or any other tool that you might choose to use, you have to share it out. Now, Camtasia, you can just save it as a local file, or you've got these other destinations, including YouTube. And if you do that, it can go right directly to YouTube. But you have to, right now, it's going to be saved in a format that's not compatible with other people without Camtasia viewing it. So know that you are going to pre-produce, you're going to write your script, your outline, you're going to think about the visuals, you're going to record your content, you're going to edit your content, and then you're going to render or produce your content and share it so that others can see it. So I want to switch gears here, though. I'm going to switch, let me just open up another new project, and I want to show you a little bit of a different flavor of video, and we can work through some of the things and some other options. So I'm just going to go to I'm going to go to my library here because I've got this all queued up, and we have what's called the bicycle workshop that we've got. Basically, if you're teaching someone how to adjust the height of their bicycle saddle or seat. So this is a little bit of a different workflow, and if you're brand new, do what we just did and record the screen or record your content just one take. You know, that's probably by far the easiest. As you get a little more advanced, I really like to write a script when I'm doing a video that I'm going to share with lots of people that's not live. And when I do that, I record my audio separately. So we have some audio here. I'm just going to bring that onto the audio track, and it just walks us through how to adjust the height of the bicycle seat, right? So it's going to go through, and now we've just broken this up for convenience, but it's got some of the different things in here that we might want to add. So we've got some different video clips. you know, maybe we are going to start off with this shot right here. And that's cool. Looks good there. You know, I might need to trim it down. And then I might also want to bring in some other things like the title. I need a title here, right? So Camtasia happens to have a library. In that library, I also have some other stuff that I can do here. So I can do like let's say a motion background. So maybe this is what I want at the very beginning actually, is this motion background. And as it plays back, cool, that looks cool. But maybe then I bring in a lower third to lay on top of that. And so now I've got this here. Probably doesn't work great. So let's just get rid of that one and say, we'll just put this one here on top. So again, you're just going to play through a lot of these things that you want. And here I've got this basic text. I'm just going to change it to bike workshop and adjusting your seat or saddle. And I might want to play with things like the theme on this, so I could change it. You know, if I don't like the size of this font, it's a little bit too light for me. I'm, you know, probably going to go semi-bold there. And again, you're going to want to think kind of a little bit visually here. So cool. Now, when this plays back, it comes in automatically. And now it's starting to talk about it's going into the tools. So what do? I go back to my bicycle workshop, and then we've got some different clips here that we're just going to build in here. That's like talking about, get back to, oops, I see what I was doing there. There's a thing called groups, and I was accidentally in a group. And so now I'm going to do this. I really should have Jason Vlad be the master teacher here, because he is, if you haven't attended one of our free webinars for Camtasia, Jason teaches them. He's awesome. And so he could give you the lowdown. So now we're going to get into this, you know, teaching. Let me just stick this out a little bit so Allison's on screen a little bit longer. And I'm running lots of stuff that's saying, my computer is saying, hey, what are you doing? Why are you running so many things? So a little bit slow there, so I want to cut back a little bit. And just, again, you're just going to work through this process of getting things timed, approximate. And then you can always tweak. You can always make adjustments. The other thing we can do here that you want to think about in editing is things like, you know, when we switch between Allison waving, and maybe it's off on the audio a little bit, so I'd want to adjust it a little bit more. But you have transitions we can add here. So maybe we can do a fancy one, and we just drag it down. And you can do this. So that looks cool, but as a basic video creator, I'm going to warn you, don't go get all crazy with your transitions. You're not Steven Spielberg or George Lucas. We're not making Star Wars. You want to be very conservative with your transitions, right? Like the whip spin is cool, it's fun, and maybe that fits with your audience, but not something I would probably do. I might just do like a fade. And I can just change that out, I believe. So now what I would do is I just go through this process. I listen to my audio, I put my clips in, I adjust their length. And there's way more here than I need. And you can see in my library of Bicycle Workshop, I've got tons of video clips to choose from. And now these are aligned with steps, and I don't want to, you want to be careful. But we also have what's called B-roll. So if I needed, I've got these just extra shots, and I'll just click on that and you can see what it is, right? Some of that I could use maybe later on as he talks about testing out the bicycle seat or saddle. So, I mean, these are some of the basic ideas. And what I want to really emphasize and convey is as you're going through it, make sure you're putting it down and kind of rough it out. Kind of like building a house or building a wall. You put in your 2x4s or your studs, and then you're going to start adding things on. You're going to add the drywall, you're going to add the mud, you're going to add, make sure you get a place for your electrical. You build out the layers, but just get it roughed in, as a construction person would say, and then you can make fine details. And as you do that, it's going to allow you to make a better and better product. And you're going to want to make sure you're listening to audio and leaving some space for the things that you need to do in this case. So let me switch back over here and just see what kind of questions or comments have come in. We've got more we can dig into on the editing here. So let's see make sure I can can see here. Got my other monitor up. Let's see. Sorry, having some issues seeing stuff here. Okay. Is it... Oh, we read that one. Just share my first video on YouTube yesterday through Camtasia. Thanks for training on TechSmith resources. You are welcome. And congratulations. That's awesome. Your first video. And here's the thing I'll tell you. First of all, way to go. That is a huge milestone. Next video, make it a little bit better. Figure out what's one thing that didn't work well. What's one thing you could be a little bit better, whether it's audio quality or lighting, or if you're doing screen videos, like timing wise, could you add an annotation and do some of those things? So way to go. Next up, you've got, thanks for answering. Absolutely. Great if we could get color grading tools and upgrading the next upcoming version of Camtasia. It will help to save time and export video and color grade it in Premiere, then render it again. I understand. When I ever do a camera video, I've made this request personally to product leadership. But understand, Camtasia is primarily a screen tool, right? Screen editor, screen video. There's definitely room for things like that. Sometime, not today, because I really want to stay focused on the basics. I've got a tip that you can use if you just use a visual effect. Use color eyes, add it to the clip, and then group that clip and colorize it again. You can get 2 of your 3 RGB colors. So just a little hint for you if that's a little bit beyond what we're trying to do today. So let me know, what other questions do you have? And I realized I didn't show you the colorized stuff, but let me show it again real quick. So just go to Visual Effects, and then there should be a colorize that you can add. So just use your grouping properties. So, I mean, again, these are pretty simple videos that we're going to create. Now, other things you want to keep in mind as you're going through your video creation process. Again, just keeping it basic. You don't have to do any of these fancy effects. You really, really don't. If you're someone who's not confident or feels comfortable talking and doing at the same time, you'd much rather just record the process and then record the audio, we have a process for that too. So let me do this. Let me switch gears here again. Make sure, what I want to do is I don't want to have too many instances of Camtasia running, because I worry about my processor just handling everything that I'm doing right now. So I'm going to close this one, and I'm going to create another new project. And in this case, I don't know if I have a really good screen recording to bring in. You know, yeah, let me bring in this one. This is, that's fine. Okay, so just got to do a little bit of work because I was using something earlier. Okay, so I made this video just to show this process, right? Like it is, could I recreate this idea of like someone throwing a stamp down? Now, it's not screen video. It's just a quick animation, right? But let's say I want to talk through this project. I could record the screen, or just want to add some narration. We also can do things like voice narration. And what it will do is basically allow me to record what's happening as it goes. Now, this is going to be so short. I don't think I can say anything in 2 seconds that will be meaningful. But just know that like all I have to do is say start recording. And hello there. I'm going to play this back in a second. There you go. You can see it play back. And what it's doing is it's basically an animation that's getting bigger and then getting smaller. And when I do that, you can see now down here, it just added it. Now, ideally, this would be better if I had a longer screen recording or something like that. You could just then talk over the thing that you're doing. That's another great, easy way to make video. So, I mean, again, I want to impress on you all that this does not have to be a hard process. It's really about fine-tuning and tweaking and conveying your message the best that you can, the way that you want to convey it. So, and you can get fancy. Once you get the basics of just building out the various pieces to match your audio, to match your storyline, you know, like it's then you just can add to it where it makes sense, whether it's these annotations and if you need to blur out information, you can obviously do that. If that's something that you need to do, like I can make this more or less blurry, or you can highlight things. We've talked about transitions. You can start adding animation and effects to it, but those are all things I would worry about in video 2 or beyond. Video 1, really, if you're making your first one, is just really think through this process. And really, again, if you were just to sit here and watch me, and I don't know if that's what we want to do, I would literally just work through building, listening, finding the right video clip, building it out. And then along the way, there are going to be things like, it's like, now do this. And I might add in text annotations, so for instance, maybe just something like this that says, maybe I label the steps. If that's an important piece, step 4 or whatever, right? And I can just, as I add my video clips, let me just do that real quick. I'm going to put this on a different layer. So that's one thing I should mention. If you're in a non-linear editor, you have layers that are going to affect the order which they're seen. So basically, you see this track 3 is on top of track 2, which means it will be visible. Let me make sure I get the right track selected. It's visible. Oh my gosh, come on. I am just not selecting the right things today. So I'm going to do this to make sure I don't make the mistake again. I'm just going to lock that. And now I can move this around, right? I can put this anywhere. I can adjust it. So you got some layers and order of things that the way you can set it up. So let me see here. It looks like we did get another couple questions or thoughts. Robert, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here today. What are your most common shortcut keys when editing? That's a great question. So one thing I want to point out is that shortcut keys are different depending on the platform that you're on and the video tool that you're using. In Camtasia, one that I use all the time is Command T. I'm on a Mac, but that's the equivalent of the split. I use the split key all the time. My other favorite is Control Z for undo when I make mistakes. Control C and Control V, copy and paste. But one thing that, just to point out, if you're in Camtasia, if you can go to your preferences, it's slightly different on Windows. You can go and you can actually choose and see all the different hotkeys. So to be fair, I don't do a ton of crazy editing. Not making month-long masterpieces. I'm doing a lot of quick, easy share outs, quick things that I want to share. And so, I'm focused on these basic ones, but Command T is by far the most. Split is the one I use by far the most. The other thing I'll mention here, and sorry for clapping in the microphone, but the other thing I'll mention is that I wasn't explicit about this, but when you're in your video editor, you'll see that as you select different clips or different things, media objects, Camtasia has a properties settings, so that way you can change things. In this case, it's a text callout. I can change the font, the size, the color. So if I want that, I make it bigger. Let's move my mouse cursor over so you can see. I got bold italic now, and I can make it really big. And maybe the white's not standing out enough, so we can change the color. So there's lots that you can do. You can also change if you're on a video clip. You can change the scale however you want. If that's something you want, you can change opacity, so you could layer things. You can rotate. Now, the thing about this is you got to be careful. Again, you want to focus on simplicity. I think the true masterpieces of video are simplistic. Doesn't mean they're simple, but they're simplistic, and they're not trying to wow you with every effect. They're taking one effect, two effects, and applying them in a way that's going to convey in the simplest format the things that you get done. So for instance, I'll go back into transitions, right? Again, we could add a lot of different transitions, but the reason I like fade is it's just simple. It's simple and it conveys what it conveys. And if you're going to use something besides that, have a purpose. So yeah, those are some, So Robert, I hope I answered your question, but then I got off on a tangent to some other things. So, this is a lot of just kind of basic stuff. I'm guessing, again, if you're a master video editor, you do lots of videos, maybe this isn't helpful, but today, I want to focus on if you've never done this before. I want you to know it's okay to make mistakes. The best thing about video editors like Camtasia is that if you do something like, oh no, I moved that, now it's in the wrong place, you can literally go edit, undo. You're not going to break it. You're not going to get in a step set up that you're like, ah. And worst case scenario, you're not destroying anything on your timeline. You can bring it back in from your library or from your media bin, and you can just place it down again. So I can bring it in like, oh, I want to put it in here because I cut this one. So you can do that over and over again. So don't worry about making mistakes. I want you to go out and play. Pick a project today. Do this right now. Pick a project. Commit to it. What is it that you're going to make a video about, whether it's with your phone, whether it's with Camtasia or something else? Really take this time and think about the thing that you're going to make right now. Whatever it is. I don't care if it's a quick tutorial to help the coworker who's always asking you questions, especially now. They can't come over to your desk. They're like, I can't remember what I'm going to do. How do I do this? How do I do it? Make them a quick video. Just talk through it, record, maybe add an annotation, do one thing to edit it. If you're feeling ambitious, do more things. If you're feeling super ambitious, you can record a camera and your screen and whatever and do that. But I'd start really simple, just simple and basic. And then the next video, do a little bit more and you'll get faster. You'll get more comfortable with the tool. You'll get more comfortable with the process. Again, that process being we want to do our pre-production. We want to pick our topic. We want to write an outline, or if you're inclined to scripts I like because it controls exactly what you're going to say. You don't have to make it up on the fly. Then figure out the visuals. What are you going to show? I had that here. Even though this is just a rough outline, I had bike workshop content. I had, a quick tutorial on PowerPoint. So you really want to think through those things, what you're going to show. And then you're going to, if you're doing a script, record your audio first, I think is easiest. But if you're going to do it at the same time, record it. Go ahead and record it. If you make a mistake, just pause. Don't pause the recording. Just stop talking. And then you can continue. You can pick up, rewind a little bit with what you're doing, take a step back and go again. And you can cut out the chunk that you made a mistake. Or you can do the trick where you snap. I don't want to do this in the microphone, but it's going to create a waveform. Like you can see down here. If I switch back to our screen, let me make this a little bit bigger here so you guys can see. Oops. I think my machine's not happy with me today. So we're going to bring this up, I guess, a little bit. So you can see that how the waveform goes up and down. If I snap and record something, it's going to make a big spike. And then if you got the pause before and a little pause after, it becomes a visual cue that you made a mistake. If you've ever watched a movie, you'll know that in the movie, if you've watched behind the scenes, they got the clapperboard. It's usually black and white. It's got numbers. Nowadays, they're digital, showing the time, and they go clack. That's actually part of the syncing process. They can sync the video and the audio together. That snap acts in a very similar way. You'll know I made a mistake. It's a new scene here, so you can go back and cut out the mistake pretty easily. So, these are all tricks that you can learn. I would recommend, again, if you are so inclined, you really want to learn more about this. We have a lot of stuff that will cover this in the TechSmith Academy, which is free. Go to www.techsmith.com/academy and you'll find more information to get there. Again, free platform is going to teach you how to script. We're going to teach you storyboarding. We're going to teach you the basics of recording audio in your environment, some setting up a camera. We even talk about shot lists, which we didn't talk about today, which is when you're making a much more involved production. We've got free downloads and templates and all sorts of things that will help you do this. So you don't have to come up with this all on your own on how you're going to connect with how do I write a script? We've got information for you. Is it everything you would ever want to know about writing a script? Probably not, but it's going to get you going. And I think that's what's important today, is just to get you going. So let's see. Any other things in here? Got a couple other questions. I'm going to take the headphones off because I don't need them. Is it better to go for audio and screen separately or screen record with voice at one time? That's a good question. I think I've addressed it a little bit. I like them separate because I have more control. I like to record my audio. Audio was once I get it kind of I got rid of all the mistakes and whatever, because I'm going to say something or speak something incorrectly or They just jumble my words. If I get my audio track and I can edit that without visuals, then I can build my video pretty easily. And you can see it's really easy in a nonlinear editor to, like put a track down, trim it. If you need to transition across something or use B-roll to cover something up, you can do that pretty easily. You can also freeze frame and screen recording. So I like audio and then video, but that's a personal preference. It's really what works best for you and your content. Ruben asked, what were the headphones for? I was using headphones so I could hear the playback. I don't know if you guys could actually hear the playback of when I was playing it back, but I don't want that audio to come through my microphone. But that's, I like listening to my audio through headphones when I do video editing as well. It just helps me hear with more clarity. I do recommend that before you send your video off, after you publish it, listen to it. Listen to it how your audience is going to listen to it. If they're in a noisy warehouse environment, go listen to see what they're going to listen to. Do they have headphones? Do they have to listen to speakers? And what does it sound like? So that way you can adjust accordingly. 1 second. I don't know if I actually muted or not, but had a cough. I've been talking so much. So Ruben, headphones are great. You don't have to use them if you just have laptop speakers or any other kind of speakers, but you want to hear your audio playback. And again, you want to hear it with some fidelity. You want to hear if there's bad noises, breathing noises, things like that. Raw Video says, thanks. You are welcome, Raw Video. We got another one. I use Camtasia 2019 for all my videos. It is a good software. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, my screen's a little hard away. I can't see your username. Looks like Alex something something something. Yvonne says, I do simple recordings with Snagit and edit in Camtasia. I separate the voice from the video in Camtasia. If I edit the voice, it will it also change the video since they were recorded together? Okay, so there's a couple things here. So you're recording with Snagit, which is awesome. Snagit's got a great lightweight video recorder for screen recordings that you can use. And it's got some lightweight editing. In fact, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna show you guys that. But I want to answer your question first, Yvonne. But I'm gonna get Snagit going here, just so we can have it ready to go. So okay, bring it into Camtasia, snag it to Camtasia, which has a button you can even send it in. You say, I separate the voice from the video. So usually when Camtasia or Snagit records it as one file that's combined as audio and video. And there's an option in Camtasia. You right click, you can separate. That's fine. And if you edit the voice, will also change the videos since they were recorded together. Not if you separate them. If you keep them together, it changes. It takes, like, you cut out audio. If they're together in one track, yes, it changes both. If you've separated them into two tracks, what you'll get is you can choose to manipulate just audio or just video, or you can do both. In fact, because I think this is best seen visually, I'll bring Camtasia back up on my screen, perhaps. I don't know what it's working. I lost my project files here, so I'm trying to find out where I put them. We might just have to do a new project. And I don't know if we'll see what we can get here. I'm going to switch back over there to my screen. Okay, so I just got a blank project here. Let's see, open recent. Well, let me do this. Let me just make a quick new recording. So it doesn't really matter what's on the content. I'm going to do this in Camtasia, but you could do this if you're bringing in Snagit video, right? So it counts down. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. I'm talking about how you can record your audio and video together. I hope I turned on my microphone. I was in a hurry and I didn't check. So I'm going to stop the recording and we'll bring it into Camtasia. Yeah, so right now I recorded that. You can see that these are on just one track. It's audio and video together. If I edit this, I do my Command T to split, and I do another Command T here, split. It's just keeping everything together. I'm going to bring this part up here just to show you this. Now, I can right click here, and you're going to separate audio and video. Now, whatever I do to this, if I move it, it's going to change, and it's unconnected to this bottom clip. but I can select with a shift key. I can select both of these or just click and drag the marquee. And if I do something like this, select and delete range, it affects both. So you're kind of in a good situation if you separate audio. The trick will be is that what you don't want to do is accidentally move something and get it out of sync. So with that said, real quick, I wanted to bring up Snagit and show you guys real quick. Super excited about this new book coming out, but let me go over to Recorder. I'm going to change this to video, and I'm just going to do a region capture. Same idea. I can select the area in Snagit. Now I'm going to turn on my microphone. Make sure my microphone is set to the right one. I could turn on system audio, so anything that's coming out of your computers would be recorded. I click record. Again, it gives me a countdown. And now I can record anything on my screen. So if I were to bring up, say, Camtasia, maybe, new project, it's going to record in here. It's going to capture all that motion and anything I'm doing. And I can stop that. And it's going to import it in here. You can see all the stuff. There we go. And now I can play it back. And now Snagit's not an editor, but it does have some light trimming options that I can use. So I can just highlight this area. You can see the red and green tab that's familiar to Snagit or to Camtasia. And then I can say right click, or it should, I think Snagit's, there we go. And move that a little bit. And it says cut. And now what it leaves me is a little yellow line that says you changed this. So you can trim it up a little bit in Snagit. If you want some really lightweight, that's a really great way to make your first video. So boy, we've covered a lot here. I hope this is helpful. So one of the things I was talking to my director of marketing, and she's awesome. I said to her, this is a long time to feel like you're talking to yourself. So just know I appreciate everyone that watches and everyone that asks or leave comments. Even if I don't get a chance to address everything or answer it perfectly, know that that fuels me and helps me to make better content for you guys. So I do appreciate today. It was great conversation. And Ruben, you are welcome for the videos. Again, we're trying to make stuff for people that you're struggling because it's new, right? We know it's a lot to learn. We know